Well, thank you all very much for coming here today. I know that GDC is a very busy time for everyone, and there's so many sessions that you could attend. I'm very happy that you've chosen to come here and share this time with me here today. I'm really excited to be here at GDC, surrounded by people who love games and gaming as I do. And this is a great time to be involved with mobile gaming. The gear is more powerful than ever before, and it's evolving into devices that facilitate gaming rather than hinder it. I'm also very pleased to be able to finally talk about our games. Last couple of years, it's mostly just been about the platform, what we're doing and what we're building. And now finally, we're actually able to talk about the games that we've been working so hard to create. We are at the frontier of gaming, not just mobile gaming, but all gaming. And I feel like we're on the edge of something truly wonderful. Back in 2000, I was just leaving electronic arts. I'd been there for about 10 years, and it was my going away lunch. I was leaving the restaurant, and I bumped into this friend of mine who worked for one of the local mobile carriers. And we were talking, and I said, oh yeah, leaving EA, going to see what else I can do. And he said, well, why don't you come and work for us? We're looking at putting games on the mobile phones. And I just laughed at him. I said, come on, I'm a gamer. I don't want to work for the phone company. And strangely enough, here I am a few years later working for the phone company. He pestered me about it, and a few weeks later, I agreed that I would go and work with him. And this was the very first exposure that I'd ever had to mobile games and gaming. And it gave me a little bit of insight on what could potentially be possible with them. And it was about 3 years later that I was speaking with another friend of mine. And he was telling me about what Nokia was doing with the N-Gage. And he invited me to come to their studio and see what they were doing. And he showed me Tony Hawk on the N-Gage. And I looked at it, and I saw this wonderful 3D graphics. I saw Tony doing all of his tricks and everything like that. And I thought, wow, hell, if you can do this, you can do anything. And that's when I got truly involved with mobile gaming with Nokia. So I'd like to start off with a little bit of an overview. I want to go over a very brief bit of history. I want to talk about the role and goal of Nokia Games Publishing, where we see ourselves in the industry. I also want to give you a little bit of a look at our current games, some of our current games anyways. The rest of them you can see in the booth. And I'll also give you a little glimpse of what we're planning for the future. I won't be able to show you any of the games because they're secret, but I'll talk a little bit about what we're doing with them. So, mobile gaming is still quite young, but that's a good thing. It keeps things fresh and exciting. And we're still exploring the boundaries. I think during the last 10 years or so, since we first discovered that these mobile devices could actually be a venue for entertainment, we have gone through a lot of rapid evolution that has some parallels with the console game industry. But we've been trying to find our true identity. We had carriers that were creating a huge demand for expedient games so that they could keep the top of the deck fresh. We had a lot of developers and publishers creating a lot of games. And there's been a cost for this. And I'm sure that you can all think of one or two games that you may have played that could hold their own in the landfill. But we also have the resilience of youth on our side. We have recognized that there have been issues. Mitch Lasky and Robert Tercek, keynote speakers from the last couple of GDC mobiles, helped crystallize it for us. And we are taking steps to address these issues. Mobile games are getting better and are now an entertainment of choice for some people rather than a time filler or something to do while you're waiting to do something else. So, how does Nokia Games Publishing fit in with all of this? So, we're going to demonstrate what is possible. One of the mandates of Nokia Game Publishing is to show what can be done on the N-Gage platform. We're setting standards and we're raising the bar very high. We're going to exploit our platform. We're going to use as many of the features as are available in the SDK, and we're going to push them to their limits. We're also going to drive the evolution of the platform by pushing the features that are in that SDK. We're also going to stimulate the mobile game industry. We're going to sponsor competitions, we're setting those high standards, and we are using primarily external developers. And these developers have gained a lot of expertise working on the N-Gage over the last while on our projects, and the developers are now being sought after by other publishers, and they're free to take their experience with them. Obviously, we'll protect our IPs, but we encourage the developers to take their learnings with them when they go to their other projects. This is something that we really support. But it's also a business. We will contribute to the revenue stream, and we'll refine our processes and make them more efficient with each cycle. But not only that, we create games that people want to play, and we create game communities. Great games make money, but not just for us. We want to grow the pie so that everyone can have a tasty slice. We're also going to push for innovation. We're in a constant state of evolution, and we're constantly challenging our preconceptions. Our producers are not just project managers. They are creative directors, and they are the keepers of the vision of the project. And this is what I truly love about the mobile game industry. We are constantly thinking about new kinds of games to be made. Not just new games, but new kinds of games. Console games right now are just so expensive that it's very difficult to take risks with them. And so radically new concepts are very few and far between. But I fully expect to see new game genres coming from independent developers. Somewhere, right now, someone is working on a game concept that no one has ever before considered. And these are the people that I want to find so we can bring these great new ideas to light. We are also going to share our best practices. We will attend conferences like this. We have several sessions here this week where we talk about what we do and how we do it. We'll host lectures. And first of all, I'd like to share one of our pipelines with you. This is our concept creation pipeline. Oop. Let's go back. We went one too far. Apologies for this. Just a little recap in case you were sleeping. There we go. Anyways, as you can see, we have three sections to this. We have the research section, we have the business development and innovation section, and the production section. In the research section, we're constantly doing research on the market. We're researching games. We're talking to consumers. We're trying to find out what they want. And out of this, we get opportunities. And these opportunities are used to spin off all of the game ideas that we have. And as you can see, or pick some numbers there, like let's say an opportunity generates 100 ideas. Then we'll conduct innovation workshops to try to fit the new ways of making games into what we do. And then they move on into the business development and innovation stage. And this is where we challenge and refine our concepts. We create prototypes. We create technology prototypes. We could create game mechanic prototypes. And through all of this sort of internal school of hard knocks, we end up with some graduates that are put into production, where we constantly strive to reach the highest possible quality with the games. Currently, we have over 20 games in production, and we invite you all to come and see them in our booth. We're very proud of the games that we've created, and the ones here that we have here this year, I think you will agree that they're some of the best mobile games that have ever been created. And so now I'd like to share a few of those games with you that are the result of this process. Oh, we have no audio on this. There is really audio there, though. I don't know if there's any technical people here that could find where the volume is. Thank you. So this is one, and one is the winner of the 2008 IMGA Award for Excellence in 3D. And this is a great example of our work to find and our goal to find the best developers and work with them. I remember back when we were working on the original N-Gage, and somebody brought in this demo. It was this 3D demo that was running on the old N-Gage, and we couldn't believe the quality of the images and the frame rate that they were getting. So we decided, well, we better work with these guys because they're doing it better than we are. The game that came out of it was the original one. The game that I'm showing here is the revised version for the new N-Gage platform. Our producer, Ralph Lamps, and Digital Legends have worked very hard to make this amazing game. And I don't think you'll find a better looking 3D game anywhere in mobile games. But it not only looks great, it plays great. We were told that a fighting game wouldn't work on mobile. The controls were too complicated, the experience wouldn't translate well. But I'm happy to say that Ralph and Digital Legends have overcome those obstacles and have delivered a fantastic mobile game. It offers up a great single-player experience, and you can play head-to-head against an opponent over Bluetooth. And you'll be able to measure up, see how well you stack up against others on the N-Gage arena using our mobile ranking system. So let's move on to the next game.
Come closer. I want to talk to you. I wish to tell you the most peculiar story. It's a tale of mystery, conspiracy, love, beauty, and last but not least, the crime. This is the story of a young detective, following in the footsteps of his father. It is the story of a lifelong friendship, turning into a fly. Meet Dirk Dagger, the first mobile detective in a mysterious game of detection. Dirk Dagger and the Fallen Idol, coming soon to a Nokia handset near you.
So, let's back up one. That's Dirk Dagger, and Dirk is the winner of the 2008 IMGA Award for Excellence in Gameplay. Dirk was developed by Jadestone, one of our great developers from Sweden, and Samuli Huttunen as the producer. He works out of our Helsinki office. So Dirk is a very different looking game from one, but still follows our ideals of great looking, fun to play entertainment. It uses a comic book style of presentation to tell the story and engages the user with mini-games and puzzles. And you can use the camera on your device to pan around inside of the story panels and look for clues and unleash your inner detective. Dirk is also one of our first games that will offer episodic content, and you'll be able to download new adventures from time to time and take Dirk on new quests. And now for the last game that I'm going to share with you today.
Explore the exotic. Discover the unknown. Get ready to uncover the mystery of what lies beneath. Creatures of the Deep. Featuring world-class fishing resorts. With hundreds of things to catch. Score a marlin, snag a treasure chest, even lure the Loch Ness. The best mobile graphics to date. Real-time vibration. Single-player quest campaign mode. Creatures of the Deep. Prepare for the fishing adventure of a lifetime.
So, Hooked on Creatures of the Deep was a finalist in the 2008 IMG A Award for excellence in gameplay, but if they gave out 2 awards, we probably would have been looking at another winner here. Infinite Dreams is the developer, and they are from Poland, and they've been proven very skillful at realizing the vision of our producer. Our producer on this game was Mike Smith, and he was also the creative director. Mike is another EA veteran where he was art director for a long time, and we're very pleased that he's part of the Nokia game publishing team now. As you can see, this is another very different style of game, and Mike's experience as an art director is evidenced here. It's a very beautiful game, very well presented, and one of the cool things you can do with this game, besides catching a lot of fish, is it's got a screensaver, and all the weird and wonderful things that you've collected in the game show up in the screensaver when your phone's idle, and they swim around kind of like an aquarium. It also makes use of the vibration of the device, and it lets you feel when the fish are biting. So not only do you get the visual cue in the game with the rod bending, but you can also feel it in your hand. It's pretty cool when you're cruising around and you feel that fish bite, you've got something there. So I've shown you some examples of our current games, but it doesn't end here with these games. These games and the others that you can try on our booth are the foundation upon which we're going to build our future games. Games that will excite and delight the users. The kinds of games that we have never seen before. So now, what are we going to be doing based on this foundation? Well, we're going to be exploiting the capabilities of the N-Gage arena, more multiplayer gaming. As the networks become more capable, we're going to work in more real-time multiplayer. As soon as it's ready, we'll be there. And we're going to be pushing the boundaries on that. We're going to be looking at MMOs. We're also going to be working more and more on cross-platform games. If you can remember the presentation last year with Scott Foe and Project White Rock, you can remember some of the details of that. It's a PC game that you can also play in a mobile web client. We also have some other games we're working on that, and we're also looking at microtransactions in games. And we could have free games that are supported by in-game transactions. Maybe nothing so extreme as buying bullets for your FPS, but you never know what happens. We're also looking at cross-genre games. This is a kind of activity where you have things happening in one game that influence things in a totally different game. And we can do this because we have the N-Gage arena that we're using as a hub. All of the communication can travel between the games. We're also looking at more sensors, accelerometers, gyroscopes, GPS, cameras, touchscreens. But not only with the gear, we're also looking at new ways of playing games. pervasive games, persistent world games, location-based games, context-aware games, augmented reality. All these areas are open for innovation and exploration. And while we're exploring all these, and I'm sorry that I can't show you any of the stuff here today, that will have to wait for another time. But Nokia Games Publishing continues to evolve and change its capabilities and its ways of working. We focus on our consumers and provide them with the very best games possible. Games that are fun, games that are connected, games that are joyful to use and beautiful. As part of the mobile games industry, we strive for innovation. We share our best practices, and we help build a place for everyone to succeed, for the love of gaming. Thank you so much for coming here today.
Good morning, and welcome back to GDC Mobile 2008. I'm very excited to greet you today. We have a super program lined up, a super keynote speech, an awards ceremony, and a number of terrific talks. I'm Robert Tercek. I'm the founding chairman of GDC Mobile. I'm very happy to welcome you all back. Just a reminder, if you could please turn your cell phones to silent mode while you're in the conference room. Might want to take care of that now. When you walked in the door, you were given an evaluation form, and again, it would be helpful for us if you could complete those evaluation forms. We care deeply about the quality of the programming here, and those evaluation forms are what help us determine which speakers we're able to provide you with useful content, useful information, and that helps us in evaluating the program for next year. GDC Mobile is a big task. I can't do it single-handedly. I get tremendous support from the advisory board. The members of the advisory board come from all over the world, and they help me. If you're interested to learn more about GDC Mobile, if you're interested to submit a talk for next year, please let me know or speak to one of the advisory board members. They're all present today. We welcome the contributions of those who wish to submit talks. And for those who did submit a talk that was not selected, please, I want to encourage you to try again next year. We had several hundred submissions. I think what we did pick were a series of terrific talks. We're always trying to find new ways to insert more talks into the tracks, so we welcome your submissions. And I'd be very happy to talk to anyone who's curious about that process after this. There's one other note, one more housekeeping note as people get their seats. If anyone from the UK dropped their passport on their way in, I know there's a lot of partying going on. Some people might be not functioning with all cylinders this morning. I can read the name. Anne Varel. Oh no, wait, that's the emergency contact. Stuart Varel. Does anyone know Stuart Varel? All right, well, if you hear of him or if you hear of someone from the UK who's looking for a passport, I've got it. I'd be very happy to share it with him. Well, what's your impression of the show? Yesterday, I was actually very encouraged. I spoke to dozens of people about the program. I tried to talk to publishers and developers, and I got a sense of hopefulness for 2008. I think 2007 was a tough year in many respects for many people in this field. It was also a boring year in terms of innovation. It was hard to find examples of innovation. And so I got the sense yesterday that there's a very hopeful perspective, that there's a change coming. Maybe there's some shifts that will occur that will be painful. But in general, there's an outlook of prosperity for 2008 and beyond. Hopeful is not the same thing as wishful. There's also a lot of wishful thinking. For instance, I've heard a lot of people speculate in a wishful manner about the Apple iPhone. I'm personally a skeptic. If you've talked to anyone in the music industry, you'll know that there's a possibility if we shift over to an iTunes model, we might be going from the frying pan into the fire. Those who don't like laboring under the yoke of the mobile operator might find that iTunes is the ultimate storefront with ultimate pricing power, ultimate control over merchandising, and ultimate control over product selection. Think twice about what you wish for. Other examples of wishful thinking. Yesterday I was intrigued by our keynote speaker, Michel Guillemont from Gameloft. I thought it was a very compelling speech. And in particular, I was impressed by his vision for a Japanese-style portal that would be managed by individual publishers. And while that was a compelling vision, I couldn't help notice that there was a kind of an ironic juxtaposition, because just a few slides earlier, Michel had shown us how his entire business process is designed to support the current ecosystem set up by carriers. And by that I mean he put up a slide that showed the brutal economic calculus of porting. This porting activity is non-economic activity in service of the current business model. That is, a mobile operator wishes to tell its customers that a game will run equally well on every one of its 200 handsets. We know that that's not true. And yet publishers labor intensely to try to make that happen. And they do it in exchange for deck slots, positioning, and other favors from the carrier. Well, the definition of insanity is to keep doing the exact same thing over and over again and hope for a different outcome. That's the difference between wishful thinking and thinking that'll cause a change. So it's one thing to say that we wish for a Japanese-style portal business, but when the company spends 90% of its activity in support of the current business, well then, that strikes me as kind of an insane pattern. A dysfunctional relationship between the big publishers and the big carriers exists today. The big publishers are embracing the carriers in service of a lie. It's a lie that says any game can run on any handset. And it's a lie that says that a top 10 list that never changes offers consumers the illusion of choice. There are many examples of what happens when you treat your customers poorly. Most recently, we've seen it here in the US as mobile operator Sprint, which used to have a commanding share of the mobile game business, saw its customers leave en masse this year. Walt Mossberg, the journalist from the Wall Street Journal, refers to mobile operators as the Soviet ministries. And in terms of the game business, it's an apt analogy. They run a command economy. A rather indifferent mid-level manager with very little knowledge of the game business is going to make a decree and tell a publisher, comrade, the people have decided which handsets your games should run on. And the people have decided which brands are going to be featured this week in our deck. This is an economy that's based on a fiction. And it's caused me some trouble over the last few years because I've been wondering when this would change. What causes me to be hopeful about 2008 is that I start to see a sense of change. I'm starting to see around the edges of our industry some innovation, some much needed innovation. I don't expect it to come from major companies. The big publishers, frankly, are tied up in this ecosystem with the carriers. The change is going to come from developers like you. But what you need is a champion that challenges you to think not about a fictional universe where choice is decreed to customers who are captive, but rather to think about a real world economy where people make real decisions based on real choices, where publishers and developers are free to develop for the platforms that they feel are the best place to express their creative vision. And so I ask you to consider this morning, what would happen if we operated in a new context? What would happen if we operated in the context of the real world? What kinds of games would you make if you had the freedom to decide what kinds of experiences you wanted to give people? What handsets would you choose to support? Would you choose to support 200 handsets for every single game, or would you choose only those handsets that you knew were going to perform, where you knew the purchasing would happen? What kinds of pricing models would we see publishers experiment if the price points weren't decreed by the mobile operators in advance? Which brands, if any, would be licensed by publishers if we didn't need to scramble for deck space and favors from carriers in order to get our goods in front of customers? In other words, how would you operate your business if you weren't forced to operate your business in service of a lie? There's one company that has consistently been a champion of thinking freely and openly about this business, about possibilities, about the possibility of an alternative. A company that has championed Java, a company that has championed an open operating system that's truly extensible. A company that's championed freedom through the browser, extensibility through the browser, the ability for consumers to make decisions about what they want to put on their phones. A company that challenges us to think freely. You know the company I'm referring to, it's Nokia. Nokia stood at the forefront of mobile games. They're the first company to introduce mobile phones with games built into them. They've stood at the forefront of every advance in this industry. They've tried, sometimes they've stumbled, but they've never stopped innovating. And so it is with great pride that I introduce to you this morning Anssi Vanjoki of Nokia, a paragon and a champion of openness and honest thinking, and he is going to challenge you to think about a new context of reality. Let us give a warm welcome to Anssi Vanjoki of Nokia.
Good morning. And before you will start to listen to me, we will watch a video that will get us in tune with what I'm going to speak about.
Millions of us came together in a public place to understand the present, to see visions of the future, sharing emotions, sharing experiences that shaped our lives.
I have a dream.
Then there was a second screen.
Television. Where do you want it, Governor?
It connected us to our world, and even to other worlds. It gave us amazing new games to play. It made us think and got us talking. But although this was a world we could all share, the experience itself was becoming private. Then came a third screen. It changed the way we worked and played. It became part of something much bigger, the internet. And a revolution happened. We could play new games in new ways, find new music in new places. New communities, new kinds of communities emerged. But the experience had become individual, even solitary. The sense of community felt real, but it was virtual. And then everything changed. And it changed forever. Everything came to us in a device that could fit into our pocket. We went back out into the world. We listened to what we loved when we liked. We played when we wanted, where we chose. We shared what inspired us with everyone we cared about. We carried our sense of purpose with us. We discovered new people and places and experiences. And our sense of purpose kept growing. It was the end of something. It was the beginning of everything. Welcome to the fourth screen.
So I'm not going to talk to you about telephones. I'm going to talk to you about something else, where the screen actually is going to be in a main role. We are a very old company, established in 1865 as a wood chipping mill in the town of Nokia. But we have turned out over the years to be a chameleon that changes from what it used to be to what will be. And that's also why I'm here today, speaking to game developers, because we at Nokia believe it's going to be a very important part of our future. And like Robert was saying, we think it's going to be a very big part of the open world. We are a leader in mobility today. In 1991, we introduced the first screen to a mobile phone. Up until that date, screens were not on mobile phones, but there was just a single row of LEDs that were signaling numbers. But then we introduced a screen, an LCD, and that has become richer and richer and has started to make a lot of experiences on that screen. So that actually this innovation, which we used to call mobile phone, has become the centerpiece of the converging world, where digital technologies are making media, telecommunications, IT, everything become one. We have been very successful in that. Today, we have more than 1 billion consumers out there with a Nokia device in their pocket, which they are holding to their ear and watching many times a day. Never in the history of mankind has there been a consumer durable product that has been spread like the cell phone has. And never has there been a brand like the Nokia brand that has actually more than 1 billion loyal followers out there. It's a very big power position, we know it. And we are intending to use it to make the next change happen in the converging world. Our vision is that we will be in a world where everybody can and will be connected. Today there are more than 3 billion people with those devices, cell phones, in their pockets. We estimate that by the end of 2009, more than 4 billion people out of the 6.5 billion people on this planet will have such a device with them. And if we are not going to make our business go haywire, our 1 billion has grown to be something more significant in those years. When we look at the product concepts that we have, those product concepts have evolved. Like I said, from single LED to LCD screens. At the same time, the mobile phone has evolved to become a computer, a natively programmable small computer. We have been focusing on the market by understanding that it's segmented. We are not all same kind of consumers. We have different views, different opinions, different use habits. We have segmented the market kind of in 4 quadrants, in rational and aspirational and higher and lower involvement of the consumers. And we identified a few years ago a very, very important segment called the technology leaders. I see some of those in this room today. These technology leaders are a very specific group of people. They are residing globally. They are not concentrated in one part of the world, but they are everywhere. They number only about 200 million people on this planet. They're the people who actually decide for the rest of us what we will be doing next. They have an interest to try everything new. They also know if it's useful or not, if it's fun or not, and they will decide to either dump it or to endorse it. We focused on them with our Symbian Series 60 devices, most of which today go under the Nokia N-Series brand, to really understand what makes them tick. They have massively endorsed the innovations that we have brought with these small computers. Out of those 200 million, practically everybody today is going around with the small, natively programmable device in their pocket. In most of the cases, in fact, in more than 50% of the cases, it's a Nokia device. Here in the US, it is not as well populated as in the rest of the world, but still also here the true technology leaders go with these devices. But they take also other brands and other shapes and forms. And lately we have seen this become the real hotspot of the consumer electronics evolution and IT evolution. This is where everybody is converging. The fourth screen, a screen where cool things happen, a screen that's with you all the time and it's active 24/7. It engages you to different activities, from business operations to having fun, to keeping in contact with your family, to experimenting new things, and in fact to develop your own contents by the form of the cameras, text inputs, and the powerful processors that we have put in these devices. We studied these technology leaders intensely. We made some forecasts about their behavior in the past, but today we have a real-time method how we are following their behavior. We have tens, I think at the time of giving this speech, it must be about 100,000 people who have given us the permission to see everything that they are doing with their devices in terms of the activity. And we have an online database where we can see what they actually are doing. And I'll just draw a couple of interesting statistics here to see how the behavior of these 200 million people is changing and what's important for the rest of us after they have adopted. And of the time that they spend using these devices, it's a very big surprise that just 12% of the time that they're using these devices they use for voice communication. Most people have thought that voice communication is still a major part of what people do with these devices. It's an important part, but it's not anymore that dominating. Only 12% of the time that they are using these devices is used for voice communication. When it comes to the data that's used through these devices, actually, because we have built multi-radio capabilities in them, we're seeing that the different radio resources there are used in a way that 31% is actually non-cellular use. And why is it so important? It's important because this is the fast and open channel, not dominated by cellular system and the cellular business system alike. But it's much more like the internet is. And what they do most, 52% of the use of the data traffic that they have actually is done using the browser. Messaging and multimedia applications follow, but browsing on this small device has become, with those 200 million lead consumers in this world, the paradigm how they actually browse most of the time. Because this fourth screen is with them 24/7 wherever they go. So this small device has grown from being a cellular phone with a simple LCD screen into becoming a 24/7 presence machine, a multimedia computer that allows people to be present in the internet 24/7, using their favorite services that they are using in the internet anyhow. With the increased processing capabilities of these devices and other resources we are putting in there, like the larger and better resolution displays, the cameras, and other resources in the devices, it's just starting to grow just in the same way as any other generation of computers has done before. It will allow people to use them in richer ways, and have better experiences, whether it is business-like usage or whether it's usage for fun, entertainment, or communications. Actually, the web is now starting to be really impacted by this small device. We are now living in the middle of Web 2.0, like Tim O'Reilly has named the present state of development of the web. But we are moving to Web N-Gage, the next generation of the web, which is all going to be not just an information retrieval place, not just a social meeting place, but actually a contextual presence where we will all be extending our souls to be part of that web experience. It's about context. The one thing that makes us, the human beings, different from the rest of the creatures on this planet is that we are aware. I am aware that I am right now in San Francisco on this podium addressing game developers. I am aware that my heartbeat is about 250 because I'm so excited about the topic that I'm discussing with you. I am aware that some of you are not listening to me. I am aware of many things, and actually, with the help of this small computer that I have with me, I'm able to reflect my context, my awareness to other people so that they can reflect their context to me, and this new experience and the truly residing and living in the media, extending our soul, will start to happen. That's a very big change to what is presently called the Web 2.0. Web N-Gage is going to allow also for gaming completely new experiences where we start to mix and mesh up reality with virtuality. We can have ad hoc events as basis of games besides the normal stories that we have today. We have much more participation with contents that are created as the game is being played by the individual people who are playing the game. And we will achieve together rather than just beating each other in these games. A whole new world of creativity is going to be open for us with this moving forward. And we've experimented with this. There is a number of seeds for innovation that will now be coming available to everybody who just has the creativity in their minds to create something new. One example is here where I am skiing with some of my friends. Just take a simple photograph. And actually, that same photograph can be immediately posted in the web. It can be accessed by any device connected to the web. And since it was done with a device that has GPS enabled, it takes the coordinates and it is going to enrich that photo with contextual information coming from me. I can share that with those guys who were skiing with me immediately, plus all the others. I can see what's going on around me, and I can annotate a map, which is the highest and the lowest level of abstraction that people have about their awareness. We know that we are somewhere, and we are able to understand the abstraction of a map. This map is starting to be a very important usability and user interface element for us, where we can annotate everything that we do, store them, and recall them based on time, place, and other contextual information. Just think, what is that kind of a seed bringing into the game context? And how you can start to mix reality with virtuality. Another interesting thing that we have tried and we have developed using this kind of contextual information is an application that is called the Sports Tracker. A simple application that's able to all the time find the place, name a person, measure speed and movement, and draw that as a mashup on a map. So like here, we made a trial here in San Francisco, going a little bit deeper in here, to see different people who were simultaneously going around with the Sports Tracker application activated on their devices. We can see track of a person who has just moved around. We can see intervals of speed, how the movement was going, the places that were visited. We can tag that information with web services. And actually this can be very easily made to be shared over the radio resources residing in this small multimedia computer. You don't have to be a nuclear physicist to see that there's a real seed for innovation also to create new kind of games, where this context is going to make it cooler than anything that you had. It's not only happening in front of your third screen, in your office or at home, in your own piece, but actually it can happen anywhere, and it will engage other people into the activity that you are doing. We can enrich it by things that happen in the real world, or we can enrich it with things that are actually happening on the screen by the help of digital software. Another example of something similar is the Manhattan Story mashup that in 2006 was done in New York, and this should actually now run, but it is not running, so I'll just explain it to you. So what we had there, we had organized a game event where people had tasks to do in an environment where they could follow each other, taking photographs, sending messages, and completing tasks, and competing at this point with achievements, what they were able to achieve in a time. All used with standard product, a Nokia multimedia computer that's able to provide this contextual richness of individuals. And of course, all of the devices that we have come with instant messaging. Instant messaging being the simplest version of presence information. You're on or you're off. When you just enrich this being on or off with other contextual stuff, actually you can start to share by using methods that people are very familiar today in terms of using instant messaging. Just put that as an ingredient of the experience of the game. And then the possibility to connect to bigger displays. This fourth screen is not a very big in size. Even in the largest ones of them, like in the Nokia N810, it's just 4.2 inches. You can do quite a bit of stuff on 4.2 inches, but of course the larger the screen, the better. So we provide the possibility to easily connect this device, this small computer, into larger screens and have an ever-reaching experience. At the same time, we have sensor technologies built into the device. And for example, movement can be reacted, and it can be a game controlling mechanism that you are using in this big display at the same time. All those resources reside in the latest edition of the products today, and it is just for the developers to discover them and start to use them by the standard APIs that we are providing with these devices. And how about this? On a motorcycle, on an environment, wherever I am, the movements that I do can be registered and can be inserted as user-generated content into a frame of a game that has been developed. I think it is just a massive, massive source for new creativity, making games that were never possible before, where actually the participant will get excited not only by solving tasks that somebody else has created for them, but generating and developing tasks as we go, challenging each other and engaging each other. Also, it will create the possibility to make really small mini games, like what we have in Yamaki, where you can go and use certain resources of your device and make these kind of casual games where the old game grounds can be refreshed by using content that actually the player has generated themselves, and in this way engaging other people into something fairly personal that can then be shared. Or Dirk Dagger, just an episodical game of classical nature, but now with the possibility to use the camera as in a detective story, to put clues and stuff in there that make each game different from the other. So not to play to something that somebody else has created completely, but to play how you actually are going to recreate and divert the game to a direction you want by those resources. I'm a real believer that we have only seen a small beginning of games in general, because we are not seeing girls and women play enough. Because most of the games have been created by men. And I have few tens of years of training with my wife and my daughter and some other women that actually they are different. I have learned a little, not much, but a little. And one thing that I have learned is that with men, with macho, with testosterone, it's about killing, it's about winning, it's about hitting, and it's about a lot of action. And try to engage and excite a woman with those terms. I have not been successful, perhaps some of you have. Because in the world of women, it's all about engaging people, sharing in secrecy in intimate relationships. And what's better for that than having a small device with you that's 24/7 connected to those people, either in multiple relationships or one-to-one relationships, where you can engage people and you can share secrets without telling the other, of course. That's what we will see with the small computers be enabled. A completely new genre of gaming that actually can be directed for people who don't want to kill to win, but actually who want to engage. And the winning is not important, in fact. It's important to be part of it. Just think about that. And I believe when we really put our thoughts into this arena, we are going to see that also the other half of the population on this planet will start to play these games very actively. This has not been possible with the platforms that we've had up to now, but it will be very much possible with the platform that's introduced here. Robert was already talking about the monopolistic distribution behavior of the mobile games industry, where because of the background of telecommunications being part of the device where we have a cellular engine, mobile operators have monopolized the distribution to a very large degree, meaning that actually the value that is created is not flowing to the developers of the game, but it's flowing to those who sent the bill. I believe that this is and needs to change, just like it is happening in the internet in general. And it is also about the simplicity, being able to find the games wherever they are, and not only in the well-guarded operator portals. That's why we have made the present, N-Gage, and the arena, where you have a client in the device that will allow you to discover stuff. You can try it, and if you like it, you can buy it, and then you can start playing, and you can engage other people, and you can start easily share. So it's not only about the client technology we have put in there so that it would be easier to play, but it's a complete environment that will allow the business model of mobile gaming to become contextual gaming and make the discovery, trying, buying, using, sharing easier than what it has been up to now. We've tested this. I know many of you are testing it right now through our first access. And the feedback that we are getting is just music to my ears. Yeah, we know that we have a few bugs, but you will help us to discover them so that we can start to spread this to other people. And in this way, we will start to make a great platform. So this whole thing is about the devices, these small multimedia computers. It's about the service environment, and it's of course about the games themselves. But just think, if Nokia today has 1 billion loyal consumers out there who, according to all the brand studies, put more loyalty into the Nokia brand than the consumers put on any other brand in any other product category. When the upgrade cycle of the simple mobile phones is now accelerating, after the technology leaders have all made the discovery that this is something good, when those 1 billion consumers will upgrade from a simple mobile phone into a small computer that's natively programmable, and we provide the tools for you to develop the games and transfer your creativity to be reachable to all of those people. And we have an environment that will allow for the distribution of it. This is a game-changing game move. And it's happening now. It's not happening next year, not the year before. It's happening now. And we can all participate into this. And we will be participating to it. This is a very important part of Nokia's strategy to make those 1 billion consumers upgrade and enjoy what's available in the next generation of the web. And it's those games. It's moving titles that exist into this environment. But it's also about original new titles that are published just for this environment. And increasingly, those are using these elements that I just went through that will make gameplay contextual, that will change how we actually do games on mobile. We should, in fact, in my opinion, forget about the word mobile game. It's a reflection of the past. And we should just speak about contextual games. Mobility, that's what we've learned in Nokia, is just one element of context. It's what I am, who I am, where I am, what I do, what are my relationships. That's what I can control to other people and indicate to other people through this small computer. So therefore, it's not about mobile games. It's about contextual games. Just like the web is moving from Web 2.0 to Web N-Gage, that's just making it contextual, this small device will be the enabling device that will make games change so that they will be contextual. Our agenda in Nokia, of course, is a little bigger. It's not only about the games. It's about this context in general. We have created a new environment that's currently in the internal beta testing. Some of the individual services, however, have been already launched as single services. But it's an environment we call OVI. OVI is an environment where you can bring your own services, your own applications, your own content, your own information, your own contextually colored and annotated history, and put that in one environment. From here, you can go into games, into music, into navigation, into general rich internet communication environments that you want to use. It's an environment that resides in the web, can be accessed by your personal computer, but mostly, of course, it is tailored to make it possible for you to approach it from your small multimedia computer. We expect that in the coming years, OVI is going to be an important part of many people, not only those 1 billion people who are using Nokia devices, but others as well. It's part of the plan how our old company, since 1865, is going to go through its next chameleon move, where already today we are capitalizing on software know-how that we have in the company. Mostly making money by selling devices where that software content is the value add. But we are moving into the area of services and enabling people like yourselves to participate into this open world and make your own creativity pay off for yourself. That's what we are intending to do with Ovi, not only in the games area, but in a wide space of services in the internet. It's been really a pleasure for me to having the possibility to share these thoughts with you. We have been kind of looking at and participating into the games business for a number of years, starting with the Snake game back in 1996. Now we are approaching the next important part where we are launching this platform on Ovi and the specific aspects of the games in there. I invite all of you to really use your creativity in this space, and I believe we can create a great new business that's not going to be easily stoppable by any monopoly powers. It's all for the love of gaming. Thank you very much.
Anssi, we have time for some questions, so I'd certainly welcome anyone who wishes to ask a question of Anssi Vanjoki of Nokia to come here to use this microphone. And to get things started, I'd love to ask you one question, which is for developers who are interested in the Ovi platform. What degree of flexibility will they have to select the titles that they wish to publish, the pricing that they'd like to apply, and the selection of handsets they wish to support?
So if I start with the last part, so our idea is that the whole software platform will be such that you don't have to make choices on the devices, but actually you will cover everything. When it then comes into the distribution, of course, you will have to price your own creativity yourselves. Nokia is not going to be a price setting mechanism. We will just allow an environment for you to capitalize on your creativity. And then whatever is going to be the price is a matter of market forces and what you believe your creativity is going to be worth. There's going to be a lot of flexibility in this space, and we are looking forward to getting a lot of buzz around this so that this flexibility can be applied in the way that will make everybody happy.
Thank you very, very much for joining us today.
Thank you.